This is Soph,
This is Rich.
and we are from across
The pond.
the pond.
We need to really work on getting that in sync. We used to be literally the same voice, but just lately we're a little bit off. So we're going to have to practice that in our Wednesday meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
A bit like you used to practice in school, all singing at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
How was your weekend?
Very uneventful. Watched some football, watched some boxing, watched the Ukraine. Lomachenko beat Coney. It was really good.
Go on, the old Yuki, get in.
Yeah.
Was it a good fight?
It was a really good fight. Really good fight. Comey got knocked down, but he got back up and kept fighting, knowing that he wasn't going to win. Lomachenko showed some really good sportsmanship because after he kept pounding on him, he kept looking at my man's corner like, well, y'all just going to let me keep beating on him like this?
I'm not going to lie, I am biased, but there are some very good sports people that have come out of the Ukraine. Just saying that you can't lie about facts. It is a fact.
Yes, it is a fact.
So nothing else other than that?
Nothing else other than that.
Well, my weekend that was all planned and got changed because Al's here. I still went to a football match on Saturday with Uncle Fester. He got tickets to go and watch our home team, Wycombe Wanderers, play. Whoop, whoop. And just when I thought, okay, I'll tell you a little tiny story quickly. So when I was younger, Uncle Fester used to take me, and every time I went, I wouldn't go every week, but on the odd occasion that I would go, Wycombe Wanderers would lose, and he'd say to me, I'm not bringing you anymore, you're a bad omen. They always lose every time you come. I think the last time I watched them play was when I was about 10 years old. My dad took me to Wembley when they got through to the next stage. They did lose, I'm not going to lie. But that was probably, and every time there was a Mexican wave, he would chuck me on the chair in front. You had to go, woohoo. So anyway, went to the football, and within 4 minutes, the other team scored. Sorry, they were playing Wimbledon. The other team scored. After half time, substitute, the absolute great Akifenwa came on, bam, scored to draw, literally within minutes. Woohoo! Then I don't know if you know much about football, but there's two halves, 45 minutes and then 45 minutes. So 90 minutes, ding, 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 it's over. 90 minutes, the other team scored. So we were losing 2-1. And I was like, ooh. Then there was 5 minutes extra time for like stoppages. We scored at 92 minutes to draw. Woo-hoo!
So is that a win if there's a draw?
No, it's a draw. You both get the same amount of points. Yeah, the tie. So yeah, that was that. Then today, me and Al went to the tree barn and picked a tree. We got our decorations up. Yes.
So sweet.
I know. And someone messaged me saying, oh, what are you up to today? I said, oh, we've got a tree, just putting the decorations up. They said, oh, is Alfie helping? And I was like, yep. He's sitting there watching me. And every now and then he'll say, Christmas tree, Merry Christmas from Alfie. That was as much as he helped. But it looks delightful. I love a real tree. Yeah. I did also watch some my hair is a mess. I did also watch some boxing. Conor Benn. KO. Down. Conor Benn won, knocked matey down and out.
Way to go. Did you know that Muhammad Ali has a grandson?
He's very good. Have you seen it?
Who's boxing now? Yeah, I saw him the other night.
Oh, really? You only saw him the other night? I saw him a little while ago. He's very good.
Yeah, I saw him the same night Lomachenko and Comey was fighting. He was on the undercard. He's all right.
The only thing with that is, I think not being. This is just my opinion, folks. I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are the champion, the world champion, the most memorable, the most famous, or one of the most famous boxers of the world. And you're not only related to him, you're going into the same sport. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders there.
Mm. Who knows? Oh, I know. First of all, let's comment on how beautiful your hair looks.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I
You
did
did a
want to have
really
it
good.
little.
They did a really good job.
Do you know
I'm due for a haircut.
the most annoying thing is that's probably the last haircut I'm going to get now until September next year.
Why is that?
Because my hairdresser's decided to get pregnant for the 3rd time, so she's going on maternity leave after Christmas.
Oh. You don't have like a backup?
Ask any woman. You find one hairdresser and you stick to them.
Okay. Hey.
There ain't no plan B.
Don't shoot the messenger. I just was asking.
Listen, somebody could get on your hair and F it up with just a couple of snips, and no way, no. It's weird because your hairdresser gets to know you and your hair. So I'm not literally, she could probably cut my hair with her eyes closed.
Oh, all right.
All right. Just to let you also know, 8 p.m. tonight, Bojo is addressing the nation.
Oh, here we go. That's gonna be exciting.
Well, anybody who isn't on this side of the pond or even is on this side of the pond and wants to know, tune in next Friday when I'll be able to tell you what the old bellender said.
All right.
Serious Sunday.
That being said, serious Sunday.
Whoa there. We've got an ATP burp as well as an ATP yawn. Oh my
Excuse me, people. That was so rude.
Can you leave the room next time you need to do that? Oh my God.
I know, it was like burp.
This is supposed to be serious Sunday. I was getting in the mood then and you've totally just quashed it.
Did I squash it? All right, that being said, excuse me, audience. Serious Sunday.
Yeah.
Go ahead with it.
I want to, so you can yawn. Jesus Christ.
I can't take you nowhere.
Me? Oh my God.
I can't take you anywhere.
Right, take a couple of deep breaths. Pull yourself together. No more burping, no more yawning.
All right, let's go.
I can't even look at you, otherwise I'm going to laugh. Okay, serious Sunday. We are talking about bad parenting, parents gone wrong, whatever way you want to word it or look at it. Mainly what made us talk about this subject was, I mentioned on Friday, little Arthur, who is 6 years old, and he got murdered by his dad and his dad's girlfriend. So the what I've managed to gather is his mum is actually about a year ago, I think, at the beginning of lockdown, she got sent to jail. So he went and lived with his dad, and him and his dad moved into the girlfriend's house. She already had 2 children, I think. And she obviously wanted the guy to live with her. They were together, they were a couple, but she didn't want the child. So basically, as time went on, the treatment that, oh my God, the treatment that he received at their hands became worse and worse. Like, they didn't feed him, they made him sleep on the floor. They would physically abuse him. Social services got involved because I think it was the grandma, so the mum's mum noticed a bruise and she made a
report,
a call. The school made a call and the police were called to the house and social services, but they said as far as they could see, everything appeared fine and normal. So they didn't do anything or take it any further. Then that happened a couple of times over a 2 or 3 month period, I think, towards the end. And what happened at the end was she called the ambulance because the little boy had passed away, saying that the dad was out at the time. There's an interview with her with the papers, like you can see it online. She's basically in the garden saying to them, oh, he just kept shouting at me, you're not my mom, I hate you, and started banging his head on the floor. And the reporter was like, what, that floor right there? She was like, yeah, that floor there. And she was like, I tried to calm him down, I've been nothing but nice to this kid, blah blah blah, this, that, or the other. The real version of events was she actually bashed the kid's head, what appears, against the wall. He was asked, like, crying, asking for food. Could somebody feed him? The main bit of the evidence came from, they had cameras in their living room, whether that was for security reason or what, I don't know. But the police and the authorities have shared some of the videos. The little boy, you see him trying to get up one morning and pick up his blanket and his pillow from the floor, and he's so weak he can barely stand up. You can hear him saying, why doesn't somebody love me? I just want someone to feed me. So basically they sealed their own fate by having those cameras. All the evidence anybody needs is right there. So you can say, this is my version of events, or this is what happened, as many times as you like. If you've got a bloody camera there that tells the story, then you're, excuse my French, bollocks, basically. But I don't understand how parents can be like that. For example, the reason it's a big case in the news is because in 2009, I think, there was a case where he was called Baby P. His name's Peter, but they nicknamed him Baby P. He died, 2007. He died 2007 after suffering more than 50 injuries over an 8-month period, by basically his mum and his mum's boyfriend. Now, that was in the paper because the authorities had been repeatedly called a number of times to his house. So it was therefore he'd slipped through the net. They missed things, or, they hadn't carried up and things. So now people are up in arms again, saying, why has this been allowed to happen again? Like, they're saying, oh, poor Arthur, he slipped through the net because the old Bill
slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, the old Bill went to his house, but they missed something. The authorities went to his house, but they missed something. So he just slipped through the net. How many times are they going to be able to use that as a ridiculous excuse? And how many children are going to have to suffer before the authorities do their job properly?
I know.
My thing is, I don't understand. I'm a parent, you're a parent, right?
Correct.
We've talked about discipline before. You've said you give your sons a little clip on the backside,
I used to. They're adults now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I said the story about when I tapped Alfie on the backside once and felt mortified. We both cried until we went to sleep. How can you inflict injuries on your own child like that and not? How can you do it?
And not feel some type of way.
Like, there's no excuse to do it once and then be like, oh my God, I should never have done that. But to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And not just a little slap. Like, there's pictures of him with all like bruises and stuff,
Yeah. See, I think not everybody is meant to be a parent. I strongly believe that not everybody is meant to be a parent or parents. Or parents. Now, there's a difference between discipline and abuse.
Agree.
Okay. I mean, discipline is, like, for instance, my kids had to do something drastic for me to have to discipline them. You know what I mean? But then, abuse is where you just going bonkers on your child, which I don't think any child deserves to be abused. You see what I'm saying? So there's a difference between discipline and abuse.
Agree. And you just saying not everybody deserves to be a parent. I used to once, before I started my, oh well, when I first started my own photography business, I also got a job working in the hospital as a newborn baby photographer. So basically you take photos within the first 24 hours of the baby being born, right? And it wasn't until then that I realized how many mums actually, for one reason or another, get their children taken away from them, right? Because they're deemed as unfit, either drug related, abuse, criminal record, whatever the reason. And there would be women, like, you'd have to give them you get like this free gift pack, if you like, with all the forms for if you need to claim benefit, freebies for the baby. Every mother that has a baby gets one. And when you delivered those, that's when you would say, oh, did you want to have photos taken? Now, I remember seeing some mums and saying, here's your pack, you know. If they were under social services, obviously we were told don't ask them if they want their photos taken because they're not even keeping the baby, you know. And I remember this one woman saying to me, you know, like, I would always try and be polite. I'm a people person, so I would try and be polite and have a conversation. And I'd be like, oh, you know, is this your first baby? He's so cute, da, 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 da. And I remember women saying to me, oh no, this is my fifth baby, you know, and I'm not going to get to keep him, or blah, blah, blah. You know, like, so blasé about it. I don't understand why. This is just my opinion. I've got to say this now because no one ever seems to agree with me. I don't understand why women like that don't get sterilized so that they can't have any more children. For example, one of the women was a heavy drug use. She was like a drug addiction, and always in and out of abusive relationships. She'd been homeless, this, that, or the other. But she was like on her fifth or sixth child that was due to be taken away. My question is, why don't you sterilize women like that keep getting pregnant? Because it's costing it's not good for the children. That's number one. Number two, look at the amount of money it must be costing the system, and all of what that child has to go through to find a new home, you know, could potentially be in foster care before adoption, home from home. And when I said that to someone at the time, this is a few years ago, they were like, yeah, but what if she decides to get clean one day, you know? And I was like, if she decides to get clean one day, she can go and find and look after the 5 children she's already mothered and given birth to, rather than having more and more and more.
Well, you can't stop. The thing about it, you can't stop anybody from procreating. I mean, you know, drug abuse and all that, you know, you can't stop anybody.
Can't you even see my point? I'm not saying.
No, I'm not. I see where you're coming from. You feel as though a person that, you know, is out there in the world wilding shouldn't want to keep bearing children. I get it.
Some of them don't even want their kids. I remember one lady, I saw her, gave her a pack to, went about my business. The next day, a midwife said to me, that baby that was in bay, I don't know, say 6, did you take their pictures yesterday? And I said, no, because she wasn't keeping the baby, so we don't do that, but I gave her a pack. She said, okay, well, can you do me a favor? Can you take some pictures of the baby now? And I was like, really? How come? She said, because the mum just dumped the baby on us yesterday and said, here, I'm not keeping her. You may as well just take her now, and left. She said, and I think whoever adopts her, it would be nice for them to have pictures of her when she was a baby.
Wow.
So some of these mums do not even want the children. And I just think they're clearly not in the right mind frame to practice safe sex. So why not give them a helping hand? But hey ho, that's just my opinion.
That's true.
I don't get it. The thing is, though, it's not just physical abuse. Like, let me see if I can bring it up. There was another case here.
There's physical abuse, there's mental and verbal abuse when it comes to children. And the thing that gets me about that is children are at that learning stage. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to teach them some negative stuff, they're going to grow up in that negative society, that negative mindset. Like that
But
little boy kept saying, why doesn't anybody love me?
oh,
Or
that's going to stick with him.
why? Yeah. Or
He,
why? Well,
he's not going to trust anybody. He's going to
yeah.
have anxiety issues, like mental, not in a, I'm not going to say he's loon, but he's going to have issues. But like in 2008, there was a girl called Shannon Matthews, right? Now there
Mhm.
was a big not worldwide, but like nationwide search because she went missing, yeah. And
Yeah.
here it says Shannon Matthews was the victim of a vile plot by her mother that caused national outcry and a police search to find her. The schoolgirl was found alive only after it was revealed her mother had drugged her and tied her to the bed in order to pocket a £50,000 reward for finding her. So now, at what point does a mum wake up in the morning and think, shit, man, I need some money. Do you know what? I'm going to drug my child and hide them so that I get reward money.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
And that's going to stick with that girl. I don't know how old she is now, but bizarre. I don't get this. There's a lot of bad people in the world. And like you say, some people shouldn't be parents. Like there's a couple, actually a couple, a man and a woman called, what was her name? Fred West was the man. Can't remember the wife, Mrs. West, obviously. But this is like years ago. There's loads of programs and documentaries made on them because they had loads of, well, first of all, they used to prey on young girls in the street and say that they had a room to rent out in their house and they'd sexually abuse them and then murder them. Then when they started having their own kids, they did the same thing to their own kids, like sexually abused and or murdered them. And if they I'm sure one of them actually had a child by her father, like why? I don't get it.
Yeah. To me, I can't, it's hard for me to register how people can go around and abuse children, or sexually abuse them, physically abuse them, because they're defenseless. They're defenseless. You know what I mean? In our eyes, we're considered giants to them. You see what I'm saying? So I look at that and I go, man, that's just sad. And what makes a person want to do that to someone?
I
And
don't
a lot of the time, them themselves have been abused
I
and
get
don't know any other way to handle
I get that, but at
the
some
situation.
point the cycle's got to change, right? Like it's a cycle. Their mum's mum or dad done it to them, done it to them, done it to them. At what point? Some point the chain's got to break.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that in situations like that, it can only go one of two ways. Either the child will end up going down that path and mimicking the actions because that's what they've been through, so that's all they know, or they go totally the opposite way and they're like, I never want anybody to feel like what I went through, so I'm not going to have anything to do with that. That's one or two paths, I think. But I, like you, I don't get it. Like, we're parents and I cry at anything to do with Alfie. I cried when I tapped him on the leg. The other week when he had that accident at school and he had that big egg on his head, I cried, I had a conversation once with somebody because
Sensitive.
no, it's called love. My heart is filled with nothing but love for my children, my child. And like I had a conversation with somebody once because we knew somebody who had her children taken away. She's got 3 children and she'd had them taken away. And then after Alfie was born, the conversation came up again. And saying the words out loud, look, if someone said to me tomorrow, I'm taking Alfie and you will never see him again, I started crying just thinking about it, like I couldn't imagine it. So I just don't get. But then we're not these people, so we would find it difficult to.
Yeah, I'm a kid you're not. Like, I have beautiful sons that I love to death. And did I discipline him sometimes? Yeah. Was it hard? Yeah.
Mm.
But to me, I feel discipline is a part of growing and learning. You know what I mean? It's a learning process for the parent as well as the child. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
And
mhm.
you know what I
Carry on.
mean? And it's a touchy subject when it comes to children, when you find out that there's children out there really being abused.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And like here, we had some cases where people kill their children and put them in trash bags and just put them in trunks. And I can't fathom, you know what I mean, having a child and then doing something horrible to them and then putting them in a trunk or
Okay, but
putting
then
them in a
after
trash
that,
bag.
carrying on with your life as normal. How do
Yeah,
you do that?
like like nothing happened.
Mm.
That I'd probably traumatize myself
Right.
to the point to where I'd probably go insane. You know what I mean?
You'd think so, right? You'd think, well, I was just about to say you'd think that any normal person would go insane, but obviously all then I can say is they're not normal people.
Right. And that's where it comes down to, not everybody is meant to be a parent.
I totally agree. I totally
Not
agree. Okay.
everybody is meant to be a parent.
Let,
And if you are meant to be a parent, maybe not at that time frame. Like, because some people, if you have a child and you're a child yourself.
mhm.
So that means, you're growing up with your child. And some people can handle it and some people can't.
That's where maturity, like mental age, comes into it, other than just age of how many years you've been on the planet.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, once you have a child, you automatically grow up.
Mm.
I look at it like that. You automatically grow up and
Some
you
people
have to
don't
look
know.
at life. You
Some
have to
people
look
don't.
at life differently.
Some
Yeah,
people.
some people don't. I agree. Some people don't. But when you have a child, to me, I feel like you automatically start looking at life totally different.
Okay, let me ask you the question then. Do you think, like you say, some people shouldn't be parents? Do you
Mhm.
think you either have a maternal instinct or you don't?
I agree. You either have one or you don't.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like
Like,
I remember when Rich was born, I automatically kicked into daddy mode. You know what I mean?
but I
I
mean,
had two other sons,
mhm.
to her previous relations. You know what I mean? She had two other sons, and I just immediately gravitated toward them because I was with her too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you take the full package, and I just automatically just jumped into daddy mode because that's just me. You know what I mean? And
See,
but
I remember having a friend and she got married. He wanted to have kids, she didn't. And when we were having a conversation, she said, oh, like, her husband had said to her, don't worry, as soon as you have a child, then, like she was saying, I'm not maternal, it's not me. And he said to her, don't worry, like when you become pregnant or become a mum, your maternal instinct will kick in. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I totally believe you either have it or you don't. Like I've always loved kids. I've always babysat everyone else's like kids, friends, family since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. In fact, before we got into our early teen years, like aunts and uncles were always saying, oh, I'm going to be the first one to have a baby, blah blah blah, because I love them so much. I didn't, obviously I was sensible. I just went and worked in a nursery and then was a nanny, so I worked with children.
mhm, mhm.
But I genuinely believe you've either got them, because there are women and men that go through life and genuinely don't want kids. I personally don't
Yeah,
understand it myself. Like I had an aunt who never had any kids, and when I said to her once, how come you never had any? I mean, she would say that she treated me like her own. But I remember saying to her, why didn't you ever have any kids? And she said, because I'm too selfish. I love my money and I love being able to do what I want when I want. I'm too selfish to have children. I never wanted kids.
yeah.
I personally was one of those people that couldn't imagine my life without having kids.
Well, at one point in time, I didn't think I was ever going to have kids, to be honest. I thought I was going to be that cool uncle, what I mean, to my nieces and nephews. But then when I had my own, I was just like,
I think
all right.
everybody who secretly wants kids goes through that point where they think it's never going to happen to me.
Yeah, I was just like, I got a son. I got two sons now. It was crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think men have maternal instincts too. You know what I
Do you
mean?
think men's generally don't kick in until after the baby's there?
I have to disagree because I kid you not, when she was pregnant, I was all over it.
Okay.
I was right beside her every step of the way, like, yo, let's go. Let me pack your lunch. Don't forget to take your vitamins. Go ahead, let me put your feet up. All that good jazz. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, but like I said, not everybody is like that
Mm-mm.
though. Some men are like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, some people
Oh my
say,
God, I'm gonna be a daddy. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. It's driving me insane. I don't know if I can handle it.
yeah, some men do say it's not till the baby's here that reality kicks in and you're like, oh, jeepers, it's about to go
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Some people like, they, especially if it's an unplanned pregnancy, that's where I think it's the hardest for men when it's unplanned. Like you just, you lay down with that woman and then all of a sudden she comes at you and says she's pregnant. You're just like, whoa, I wasn't thinking about that. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Where this is swerving a bit left now, but it's still linked to the subject. What's I know there's a whole heap of stuff going on over there at the minute, or was. What's your view on abortion?
I think it's a woman's choice because they just changed the law about the whole abortion thing here in some states. And I think it's a woman's choice. I don't think the law should or the government or any law should be involved when it comes to a woman's body. It's a woman's choice.
But it surely, so you don't think the man should have any say at all? I only say that because obviously it took two people to create the child.
True, but the woman has to carry it.
So basically,
Now I could put my 2 cents into it, and if she didn't want it and we were together, I had a situation like that. Um, a young lady and I, what I mean, we were dating, and she became pregnant, but she already had children. I had already had children, and we made a conscious decision together. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
But if she would have said to me, I want to keep it, there's nothing I could do. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of,
Okay, but
it's a
what about
woman's choice.
if you wanted to keep it and she didn't?
That's what I mean. It's a woman's choice because she has to carry it.
Would
You
you
see
at
what I'm
least have
saying?
put your case forward?
Yeah, of course. Of course, I would, I would have said, yeah, let's keep it. Let's see what happens, this, that, and the third. But I think at the time that both of us wasn't in the right frame of mind, and both of us was looking at, she was more or less looking at like, you got a lot going on, I got a lot going on. Having a child right now wouldn't be the best thing. It was a mature conversation. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like you, you don't like me. The baby would just be a problem. It was just a mature conversation.
Mm.
And you know what I mean? Do I think about it from time to time? Yeah. But it was a mature conversation.
Mm.
And I think you got to have those real conversations when it comes to a woman who has to carry it for 9 months. Like that's, I have no control over. I plant the seed, and the
Literally.
woman, yeah, and the woman is the person who has to go through 9 months of emotional roller coaster for 9 months, and then push a baby out, push a human being out. So I think a lot of it is a woman's, it's her body, it's her decision. You know what I mean?
Mm.
even if I were to say I want it, it's still at the end of the day her decision
Mhm.
as a woman because she has to carry it. Now, if I had to carry it, then you know what I mean, it'd be my decision. You see what
If
I'm
it,
saying?
if it was possible for men, this is definitely swerving left. If it was possible for men to have babies, would you have had one to give it a go?
No. Mm-mm.
Really?
Ooh, no. I watched two babies come into this world, and I kid you not, it was horrifying. I don't know. I'm glad that I am a male because I don't know if I could handle it. 9 months walking around, stomach out, a
Can't see
human
your
moving
feet.
around, a human moving around inside. It would freak me out mentally. Would freak me
I
out.
have
Like,
to
oh my
say,
God, I got a human inside me.
the
This is
best
crazy.
the best two things about being pregnant was A, going for a scan, where they put the whole jelly on and look around and you can see everything on the TV screen. And yeah, watching your stomach move, and obviously the bigger you get, the more along the pregnancy you get, the more the movement is, like it just looks like. I remember there was one point I used to sit in the bath for hours just watching my stomach. I loved it. But I remember there was one point it literally looked like the skin was going to tear and he was just going to burst out, like it was literally like he must have gone right on the skin. I find things like that fascinating.
I find it fascinating too, but do I want to do it? No.
Like I remember after he was born holding him up thinking, you've just come out of my belly, like how is that possible? I mean, and look at him now, he's like a giant. How is it possible? But yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
I
think.
did the same thing. I looked at Richard and I go, I can't believe I helped make you.
Right,
It's fascinating. Like I
it
made you. I
tastes
helped make you.
fascinating. But going back to my point when I said, should women like that be sterilized? If they don't want to be sterilized, I think they should at least, there should be conditions on birth control. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
they should be given choices, either get sterilized or have birth control. You've got to have one or the other.
Okay, now there's different types of birth control. Am
Right.
I correct?
Yeah.
So for a person who really doesn't want any, what type of birth control? Because I know there's
You can have
um,
oh,
a
what is
thing,
it?
a ring or
There's
birth
a thing
control
that
pills.
there's a thing that goes in their arm. It's like a little chip that goes in your arm.
Uh,
And it stays there. I never had it, but it stays there for fudge. Let me Google what it's called. You could have the coil fitted that goes internally and stays in there.
what? Oh,
Yeah, you say that, but what? Clip a coil up there and stop you from getting pregnant, or just keep getting impregnated and having babies that get taken off of you and costing the system a fortune and having emotional impact on these children.
mhm. Yeah. So I mean, you think there should
Um,
be like a birth control that like for people who really don't want children to have it like permanently,
yeah, I mean, there is
permanent birth
obviously
control.
the most common one is the pill or condoms. But let's be honest, if this person is going to be off their face on drink and drugs and high as a kite, they're clearly not bothered about condoms. That's gone out the window. What's the chances of them remembering to take a contraceptive pill? Nada. So take that away from them, I think. I can't remember what it's called and I can't find it either. Um, I'll find it at some point and let you know. But yeah, I think they should get given a choice. If you don't want to be sterilized, then you are forced to have birth control.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is these women give birth, day number one, they've given birth, right? They
Right.
have to stay in the hospital for 5 to 7 days with that baby while social
Right.
services go to court and get a court order to take the baby away. So after
Uh-huh.
5 to 7 days, once they've got that court order, they go to the hospital and they take the baby from the mum.
Uh-huh.
So that's 5 to 7 days that mum has got to bond with her child. For instance, there was another story where this lady, she was a drug user, abuser, whatever you want to say,
Uh-huh.
was on her third or fourth child, went and did my rounds. I was like, oh, nice to meet you, baby. And she was like, oh, do you want to hold him? Well, I ain't going to say no. After I scooped up the baby, oh, look at him. Anyway, after I went, the midwife then said, that baby is not staying. It's going to be, you know, we're just waiting for the court to get a court order in the next few days. I was like, oh my God. She was saying that the whole way through her pregnancy, the woman was still doing drugs, and the baby is now addicted to drugs. So they have to work with the baby to try and, you know, like he was born a drug addict, you know, through no choice of his own. So they were trying to help him. So obviously he's going to have issues there as he gets older. The next day I went to work. I saw the girl walking down the corridor to go to her bed. She walked past me. I said, oh, hi. She went, oh, look, there's that nice lady. Then she said, oh, you know, again, do you want to hold him? And I said, of course. I gave him a little hug, and I was saying, oh, bless him, stroking his cheek, thinking, oh my God, my heart is breaking for this little boy. She said, yeah, they're going to come and take him in a few days. Shame he can't come and live with you. You seem really nice. I bet he'd like that, and he'd be well looked after. And I was just like, oh my God. Fast forward 3 days, go into the midwife's office, shut the door so that I could make a note of all the new people that have come in and had their babies, right? Open the door. This mum is stood there with her arms like this, the baby stuffed down there, crying, and the midwife is patting her on the back saying, come on now, it's going to be fine. You know what you need to do. You know, you can possibly see him at some point. You know this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I went straight to our little office, shut the door, and I cried like a baby. Yeah. And my colleague was like, oh my God, what has happened? And I was like, oh my God, they've taken our baby. It's heart-wrenching, absolutely heart-wrenching, you know.
Yeah. Well, see, you have a woman who's trying to be tough, and you know, realizing that, you know, towards the end, she gave birth carried that for 9 months, even though she was a drug user or whatever. She carried that baby for 9 months. And then for a week, she has an opportunity to bond with that baby, watch that baby grow a little bit. Features change, you know what I mean? And then you want to turn around, you know, they can act tough all they want, but at the end of the day, they go to take that baby.
I hear that, but it's heartbreaking. So at that point, when you are distraught and you're heartbroken, why the hell wouldn't you keep your legs closed or wrap it up so that you don't end up in that same situation again?
Hey, it takes different strokes for different folks.
And this is what I'm saying. If they're so far gone off their face on drugs, drink, alcohol, whatever, do something about it to intervene to prevent that from happening. I will stand by. I will say that every step of the way. A, having watched it firsthand, and B, it's not right for the child. It's not right. I don't care what anyone says. It's not fair. It's not right. I'm telling you, let me be in government and run the country for a week.
Yeah. Well, you being a mother, and how do you feel about the whole abortion thing? You've had a child. How do you feel about it?
This is just my opinion, kids. Let's just get that out there. I feel like we need to make that as a big statement before each show. Okay, I have an issue with the timeline as regards to when they say you can only have abortion up to this date or before this date, you know. Let me try and Google what it is at the minute. Like at one point, I'm sure it was 24 weeks, which to me is too far. People have a thing with saying it's not a baby, it's an embryo. It's not, it's a baby. By that point, it's got limbs, eye, like everything is there. Do you know what I mean? So I think the requirement to have an abortion, they've got to look at that. Hold on, what?
Because my thing is that, you know, you got rapists out here, and say a woman gets raped and she's pregnant, she has to conceive that baby. That's not what she planned on in her life. You know what I mean? To carry a rapist's baby.
I think, do you know what? I never believed in abortions before that. But that would be the only time I would ever say it's okay, is if it happened unconsensually. Is that the right way to put it?
Yeah, that's a very good put it.
Yeah. Is if it was not consensual, then yeah, here it is. In England, Scotland and Wales, you can have an abortion up to 23 weeks and 6 days. So you may as well say, 24 weeks. Hold on. I like to prove my point here.
Take your time. Take your time.
So 24 weeks, you can have an abortion, right? And where is it? Oh, that's a video. This is what your fetus looks like in your belly at 24 weeks. That's not a fetus. Man. That's a baby, you know.
Yeah.
I had my baby, my second baby, early before term. Like I held her, she was a baby. I've got photos. This is what I mean. I'm not saying abortion shouldn't be an option. I'm saying I don't agree with the conditions. That is not a fetus, that's a baby. And if it was born, it has every opportunity that potentially it can survive. To me, a fetus is the egg before anything happens. You know, even when you go for an early scan, so I don't know what happens over there, but here you have a scan at 12 weeks and a scan at 20 weeks.
I'll be honest with you, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, but by 12...
I know when, you know, the boys, I know I saw 2 ultrasounds. I don't know what weeks they were, but I heard 2 ultrasounds and then the ones with the, you know, they show you like the picture of the baby on the inside.
See,
the first one is just a heartbeat.
Right, but that's my point. At 12 weeks, there is a heartbeat. So to me, that's no longer a fetus. That is a living thing. It's got a heartbeat. It might not have limbs, heads, organs, and all that malarkey, but there is a heartbeat. So it is a living thing. Now, I get that 12 weeks, they're not going to say, okay, well, you can only have an abortion before 12 weeks because, you know, that is really, people don't even find out they're pregnant normally until then. But I think double that's 24 weeks, what the limit is. There's got to be something before that. You're just at 24 weeks. I'm sorry, if you go for an abortion, you're just killing a baby. That's the bottom line. And I totally understand everybody has got different reasons why they want an abortion. Personally, like I said, I would only ever have done it if it was unconsensual. For the simple fact is, let's just say you're young and dumb and you go and have sex, or you have sex without protection, or you use protection and it bursts or it doesn't work, whatever. At that moment in time, when you laid down in that bed with that person, you knew what you was doing, right? Everyone on the planet knows it just takes at least one time to get pregnant. So, and if you regret it, you've got to live with your regret and your mistakes. Now, there are other options, obviously. You can have that baby adopted if you choose to at the end of the term.
Right.
But I just don't get why you would kill a baby if you've just been reckless like that. Because there are hundreds of, maybe thousands probably, of women, couples, people who physically can't have babies and would give their right arm and leg to have one.
Right.
So
now I think there should be, now I'm changing it up a little bit. Do you think you should have a choice on where the baby goes? Like if you instead of it going into like foster care or something like that, like you can choose where the baby goes?
No, I think when you choose to give up your baby, you've lost all rights then. It's not your baby anymore, so you've lost the right to choose.
That makes sense.
And also, I don't know what it's like over here, but I remember when I worked at Virgin, there was another manager there, Carrie, and her wife were going through the adoption process to adopt a child. From start to finish, it took 3 years. 3 years for them to get the all clear to say, yes, actually, now you can have a child, which personally, I get they need to do checks. They do checks on your family. They do checks on people you know, just to make sure, you know, you're not a bad person or they're going into somebody that, you know, can't cope, whatever. But 3 years, seems a ridiculous amount of time to have to wait.
Yeah, I agree. A ridiculously amount of time.
A ridiculous amount of time. You're right. But yeah, and also, I don't know, like, this is a whole nother show now. We need to do a show on like adoption and fostering, because like that's a whole big, I'm gonna write that down. Yeah, that's a whole big show right there. But no, in answer to your question, I don't think they have a choice. They made the choice that they don't require to keep the child, so therefore they've lost all rights to any other choices. But let's not say anything else about that, because I really want to do another show about that, because I've got so many questions now I want to ask you. Thanks.
Yeah, so back to the parents having, kids and abusing them is to me, I couldn't fathom.
No, it doesn't register. Doesn't even register in my brain. I don't understand it.
Right.
One thing I would like to say is, I know that your sons are grown now, but I think that you are a wonderful father.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they are very proud.
I'm very proud of them, to be honest. I mean, when you're a parent and then they become adults, you know what I mean, young adults, because my son will be 22 in February and my youngest will be 20. And you look back at when they were like infants and, they were just new to the world, and now they're out in the world. And all you can do now is just pray and give them guidance, as much as they want to have guidance from you. You know what I mean?
But like you said on a previous show, none of them have ended up locked up or in trouble. So you must have done something right.
Yeah. I mean, they just did typical teenage boy stuff, but I've never had to go downtown and get them. They don't have any criminal records or anything of that nature. So yeah, it was, being a parent is, you got to have a knack for it. I feel as though you really have to have a knack of parenting and a love for, children in life.
And now I'm not going to lie, it's bloody tough being a parent some days.
Oh, there's no rule book, I tell you that.
Absolutely bloody tough. But do you know what? I would not change it for anything.
There's some things I would change because I was young. If I know the stuff I know now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change being a parent. I'd always be a parent.
Oh yeah. Most hands down. I think that's the most rewarding thing in life, to be honest. Being a parent on this earth is like the gift.
Right.
To me, it's a gift. All right.
Oh, that was serious.
That was serious.
I'm glad we managed to hold it together and stop laughing.
Yes, we held it together.
I've got some bad news.
What?
The jingle was not loading.
We are going to work on this jingle being incorporated into
I am. I'm going to work on it on this show. So if I say the jingle's not loading and all of a sudden it bursts onto the screens, that's why, because I've worked out how to add it on.
Yeah. So we're gonna really go in on this for the new year. I want to hopefully have.
Oh, listen, for the new year, we are gonna go into 2022 with new stuff, new ideas, new merch. Like we are cranking it up a notch. We'll be going into our second year, ATP style.
ATP style. Yes. Well, people, this is Soph.
This is Rich.
And we are from across the pond.
Richard, have a lovely week. I'll see you Wednesday for our usual meeting, and we'll see everybody else on Friday for some fun.
Yupper.